I think that would have been a fine way to start the show.
You still can. Jeff, tell me a joke.
Oh, I thought I meant what Chrissy was saying.
Oh.
What do you call a Mexican who works at a taco stand?
I don't
Employee,
know.
you racist. No, never mind.
I just call him, sir, can I have some tacos?
Sir.
Today's tacos al pastor, por favor. Gracias.
Pastor. What is tacos English?
I am way too white to pull that one off.
It's funny for you.
Look at me.
My wife
sound better.
My
You have a
wife
mustache.
I look the part until I
you look-
open my mouth, and
Exactly.
then like they always just go, dude, stop, don't speak Spanish. It's okay.
What are the chances Mental tells that joke to Vicky tonight?
Moderate.
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Welcome
100%.
to
I may not
Everyone
even wait till the
Racers,
show's done.
a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. It doesn't matter what kind of Lemma Champ or Lucky Track Dog League you run, SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate. As long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussion, tips, tricks, news and notes in the world of amateur endurance racing, and whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough and Chrissy gives us just a tip, we're sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm mental.
And we are Everyone Racers. Thanks for coming back and listening to a Murder Code California episode of our podcast. That's right. It is 187 on a, I can't sing that. If you're not driving your car.
It's 187 on a podcast with your friends. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. By the way, I can sing that entire song. Just ask me. Just not on the podcast. If you're not driving a car, get out your E1R bingo card. I have a feeling that we're ready for a refresh. I had some thought.
I feel like you're right.
I'm not going to do it for this show because I'm going to post this show like automatically, but maybe in the next day or so, because I have a whole lot of new things to add to that.
You know what?
Good.
Also, we should
Do it.
leverage the power of our devoted listener base. And if you, the listener, have noticed a few trends that you want to see us add to the bingo card, get a hold of us on one of our social medias.
That's fantastic. What you working on, Chris?
Not that much. Mostly sitting around lately, not doing anything.
Watched a lot of Netflix this weekend. It was awesome.
Yeah, totally.
No.
Well, there's packing. Actually, not that much packing because we were mostly packed by the last show. There's some racing. There was some repairing. There's some unpacking. And there's some cleaning. And also, then I got the Mazda out of the trailer since I got it home. Already got it up on the lift, pulled the wheels off, did a nut and bolt, checked the rear shocks, and have a to-do list for it.
Well, you're like way ahead of me.
And I ordered
He-
$1,000 in replacement and spare parts to have for the next race.
Wow.
It helps that there's two of us. So we work when two of us are doing everything on Monday. I want it all unpacked. He unpacked the car, throw everything in the door, and then I unpacked all the boxes, we did a dishwash load. I mean, when both of us are moving and shaking, it gets done quickly.
Yeah,
But
I got
can
to.
give
Oh, go ahead.
I can give a sit rep on the Mazda, but Jeff. You can
Yeah, well, let's do that at the main topic, I think.
okay, sure.
Yeah. I'll say that we came back from the race, and I actually caught heat for unpacking. They were like, "Aren't you going to cook us dinner on Monday night?" I was like, "The sun is setting. I must return the RV." So for those of you who don't know, the RV does not live at my house. So we tow the trailer with the RV. We park it in front of my house. We send my brother and I go to bed. And then after work on Monday, in whatever time I get home, I try and get every vehicle back to where it belongs. And I got to like disassemble part of my fence to get the trailer back where it belongs. So it was a bit of a rigmarole. So we did all of that. I cleaned, I unpacked the RV, I returned to the parents' house, put the trailer away, attempted to start some laundry, but it's like not even really begun. And you can check this off your bingo card since we have that going. I worked my freaking tail off night and day in the last couple of weeks because it is the end of the semester. So it's getting harder and harder to leave work at a normal time. I do have a quick question for the Carbonex people. Do you wash your Carbonex socks and underwear with the regular laundry, or with the race suit?
Race suit.
Race suit. Okay.
With race suit on gentle. And
Yes.
if I may be so bold, I know I've got two safety professionals here, but the reason is you do not want any sort of flammable or melty fabrics, the strings and the lint, getting mixed in with anything that's designed to keep you safe from fire. That's why you don't dry it. That's why you don't wash it. That's why you don't mix any of that stuff. You wash it on gentle, or you hand wash it in your sink. If you're you don't trust your washing machine, you shouldn't be drying it. You should let it air dry. But I recognize there might be some difference of opinions on that. But it is key that you do not let fibers from other clothing get intermingled into the weave of your suit or your underwear.
Excellent. I knew that you did that for things that were made out of Nomex, but I did not have a clue what the hell Carbonex was made out of. It's like very cottony. So cool.
It's the same principle.
Yeah, I get it. Totes. Cool. Chrissy or Mental? Who goes next?
Mine's
Chrissy,
the same.
Go ahead, Chrissy.
Packing, racing, cooking, unpacking, cleaning, working. Yep, that's about what's going on here.
Oh.
Same old.
Mental, what you working on?
Mental.
So I am uncertain of what just happened.
You're looking up your note.
Oh,
Your camera has changed.
Yeah, it's something literally just died on my big monitor. Okay. Lemon stuff. Obviously, we were wrapping things up. There's always some post-mortem. I have to get a lot of things loaded into the Smug Mug and the Uber gallery. Just got done submitting all of the video and some script additions to the Sonoma wrap-up script. I believe the NOLA wrap-up script is scheduled for Monday. Do the math on that. Yes, or Monday or Tuesday. I'm sorry, Tuesday is when they release the new videos. Eric and I did that. So if you're looking forward to that, I'm sorry. It's not worth the wait because I'm in it, but I think we did a good job with it. I'm actually leaving this weekend also because I leave every weekend to go to my nephew's wedding in Greensboro, North Carolina. And then I've been doing some rally prep on the rally car, been talking with Florida Man Donnie. And after the rally, we're also running Sebring. Me, him, and Pantless Matt will actually all be drivers. So I won't be working that Lemons race. I'll be running it. And so at rally prep, I was at the junkyard today. I snuck out of work early and had a lovely afternoon junkyarding. Like Chris said, going during the week is just nice. You know, it was a pretty day. It's not crowded. Nobody's hassling you. You know, it's just, and the people that are in the junkyard during the week are, I think, a little more serious and just a little bit more hardcore gearheads. So I got some stuff for the rally car. And as I was pulling out, and for those of you that are listening to this, you don't know, I was about 25 minutes late to the podcast. So I apologize to my co-host. A guy had pulled out of the pick and pull lot and had an engine in his back, which smashed through his tailgate and then landed dead center of the lane, and traffic was having to go around him. And it was a big Ford V6. And so as soon as I could get out there to the center, and another guy stopped. And if I don't think this has ever happened to Chrissy, but I think the other three of us, if you've ever been the cause of a massive traffic jam because you did something wrong or your car broke down, there is a shared kindred spirit of those who have caused that kind of misery when hundreds of people are driving by giving you the
Chrissy has.
You're an idiot look.
I was going to say,
I absolutely
Chrissy's
have.
driven Volkswagens. I think she's done this a lot.
I stopped a major highway in New Jersey on the way home of a holiday weekend. I closed the highway. Oh yeah, that was the pink cabrio Beetle, or the pink cabrio. Yep, that happened. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
So yes, so I always feel for that person because they're just sitting there, just feeling smaller and smaller. Yet you're so big, you're clogging traffic. So I pulled over, and three of us actually heaved this massive V6 into the back of his truck. So I'm sorry I was late for that one.
So this was like an open pickup truck.
No, it broke. It's an F-150, broke the tailgate as it, I don't know if it just
He did not
tumbled or he
secure it.
accelerated too
That's
hard
it.
or what.
Yeah, he not secured.
He
it,
had
tumbled,
one
sounds like.
strap that he'd wrapped around like a transmission mount, which then caused the engine to drag a couple of feet.
Oh,
And it was like in a lane of traffic. Yeah. So yeah, one of
So
his valve
what-
covers is gone.
What were
Hi,
you
Chris.
there for, and what did you drive there and home?
I was there for parts of the rally car. So just odds and ends, lenses, a couple of spare hoses, anything that I think they had a year prior to our rally car. And I went and got anything on there that I thought was going to potentially ruin our week. So the top radiator hose was in good shape. I grabbed the new distributor. I'm still fiddling with the windows, trying to get the windows to go up on the rally car. So I grabbed some switches. I was going to try and grab some motors, but I ran out of time.
Don't need windows.
Windows.
You're in
Don't.
Texas.
No, because they're down
Summertime.
now.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
exactly. It's fine. But just some cheap insurance policy items, and I took the Mercedes.
Great.
Because that's what I have right now. I had a chance to get on there and do that. If you were at Pitt Race and you were missing a set of racing gloves, get a hold of me. Because I came home with a set, and you got about 2 weeks before they come my new racing gloves. But I put this on the Citrus Racers Lounge. I put it on the forums, and now I'm saying it on the show. So if you're missing race gloves, get a hold of us, describe them. I will drop them in the mail. And just this morning, if you have not noticed, I am feeling a little bit lighter because pressure is off of me. I now have a post-military job.
Whoa.
Yay.
So yes.
I hear
Hey,
Vicky in
Vicky
the background.
Quick, tell her the joke.
Hey, Vicky, do you know what you call an employee at a Mexican taco
It's
stand?
terrible.
Yeah.
Say that again.
My cousin.
My
she
cousin.
said.
No, an employee, you racist.
She,
No,
she,
you
he
said my
totally
cousin.
said it
screwed up the
wrong.
joke.
Yeah.
He totally screwed up. Tell her to text
I
me
was
later.
told
I
to
don't
tell
touch
you
her.
that joke.
Never mind. Someone
She-
write
she
into
says,
the show.
She says your punchline's stupid.
I'm
Told it wrong.
So-
I'm just gonna keep going. Just keep the show going.
Yeah.
Everyone write mental and tell them what happened. Notes time. I don't know how many of you play in the internet world. I'm looking at my co-hosts because I know Chris has not seen it because it is mostly burning up Facebook. But Champ Car has some major controversy going on. If you have not seen it, they had their championship race this week, last a weekend ago. And Tuttle Motorsports, we know them because we always talk about them because they have two Mitsubishi Eclipses, won both races on the track. But in post-race inspection, several inconsistencies were found, and his car was DQ'd, ultimately for having too large of a fuel cell. Go ahead, Mental.
For those who've never raced a Champ Car race, after race, all of the winners in each class have to pull into the inspection area, and the other racers go through and ensure that you are in compliance with the Champ Car rule book.
And they do it
So
very slowly.
it's you can cheat, but yes,
gotta get
you can
caught.
cheat, but I think it's neat. There has been some notorious, they're just whining because they lost. But the rest of the people, the reason a lot of folks like Champ is they enjoy that kind of rule book, finding the wiggle room in there, and they know that rule book inside and out. So yeah, you're going to get caught.
Well, Tuttle didn't because his tank was more than 2 gallons above the stock, which is you can run a tank fuel cell that is plus or minus 2 gallons. This removed the Tuttle cars from the race win, but also from the national championship. According to the chatter online, it included a major vulgarity-laden rant from the team owner Brian Tuttle. This also isn't the first time he's being DQ'd out of a Champ Car race. It seems in 2018 he was DQ'd for, as he put it, accidentally putting in the wrong motor. It seems the VQ30 and the VQ35
Did you guys
somehow
accidentally do
got
that?
confused. They somehow
You thought
he's like,
you were dropping a 300Z motor and you dropped in a 4.8 truck.
Why is this LS motor here? Who did it?
Yeah. Yes, I actually people were.
There was
posting.
another. Yeah, there's another thing that somebody picked up on during that rant that was posted, and we met their new race operations manager, and her name escapes me right now. But they also have a virtual drivers meeting that she has hosted, and this was in a separate thing where some guy says to her, we'd all watch that video if you were in a bikini.
I saw this
thing.
too.
Yes, and what that was disheartening to hear, but what made me feel better about it is at the time it was about an hour old and there was about 100 comments, and all of them were, "Get out of my race series, you misogynist pig." Now it was not one of the team members who said it. It was not one of the member of the Tuttle team. It was just somebody walking by who said that to the friggin' race organizer. So I mean, yeah, there's still idiots like that, but I'm happy to see that Champ Cars does not tolerate that kind of crap.
Well, and on to the whole general demeanor inside Champ right now. Generally, it seems that there's poor sportsmanship moment because there's a lot of people complaining that they don't want this to become the SCCA and they don't want to have to start blowing the whistle on competitors, and they really would like not to. But generally, this is seen as a team that overspends, that flies in professional drivers, and has been caught cheating multiple times. So the call is for a lifetime ban.
Ban hammer.
Ban hammer. Yep.
Shame.
Shame.
Well,
Link in the
honestly,
show notes. Go on.
And you're welcome to come to Lemons, where you can get your head handed to you by a crazy Russian guy and a dude who lives in the back of a Chevy pickup truck.
Well, all right. I know we're going to do the results later, so I will save my congratulations for the championship winning team until then.
So in less controversial endurance racing news, that Yokohama has bafflingly been the sponsor of Lemons races for a couple of years now. They also do the iRacing, which is wonderful, and they have stickers and all this kind of stuff. So they have now just literally today announced, while I was at the junkyard, texted by Eric, if you go to 24hoursoflemons.com/roadmangler, they are now hosting the Road Mangler Cup, which is reluctantly presented by Yokohama Tire, but it is a private label competition tire, the Lemons Road Mangler. If anyone, actually only Jeff's old enough to remember the Road Handlers that you would get at Sears and the old raised white lighter tires. Put those on the back of your 74 Camaro. Woo! Yeah, boy. Anyway, so you go check this out. You run Yokohamas, you add the Road Mangler white letters on the side of your tires, which Lemons is providing the stencil. You race them, and then your name goes into a drawing where you can win the Road Mangler, the Road Mangler Cup. So it's a free set of Yokohama tires or $500 cash, not even $500 my ass, as they point out on the website, an actual $500. And I think it's in dollars or a check, not nickels. And if you want, you also get a team tomato juice bath with Jay in the bed of a 1987 Dodge D350, if you can supply the Dodge D350. But check this all out, 24hoursoflemons.com/roadmangler, all one word. It is actually a legit now kind of sponsorship, and what's the contingency prize. So if you run Yokohamas, if you like Yokohamas, try them out. Check out the whole thing. And thanks to Eric for the hat tip on this one.
Excellent. I think they slid that into an email like right before.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
It said it, but it was like didn't have all the details that you had. So go on. Who else got a story?
I've got one. I don't know how many you remember, but there's a guy I'll just go into the story. Anyway, Williams have announced they will try to compete 100 pit stops over the Portuguese Grand Prix weekend to honor Captain Tom. So hopefully you remember early in the pandemic, Captain Sir Tom Moore, an elderly gentleman, he passed away in February. He completed 100 laps of his garden shortly before his 100th birthday. He's this nice old man in a walker. He had his military uniform on. He's doing this because he's trying to help raise money for the National Health Service, which is actually quite beloved in Britain. They love their socialized medicine. And in his effort really gained a huge amount of attention worldwide. His story grew and grew. More people donated to his fundraiser. And ultimately, he raised more than 30 million pounds and was knighted by the Queen for his efforts. So Captain Tom would have turned 101 April 30th. And to honor that occasion, the Captain Tom Foundation has called upon people to complete challenges built around the number 100. So Williams responded by pledging to try and complete 100 pit stops over the course of the next race weekend between the on-site team and the staff in the factory back in the UK. They said, quote, "As a team, we take great pride in our pit stops. This is a great challenge for both the team, both trackside and at the factory, to come together to accomplish, and we're looking forward to it," said Williams CEO Jost Capito. Captain Tom apparently was a huge Formula One fan and even formed a friendship with Lando Norris, who sent him a signed helmet and invited him for a tour of the McLaren headquarters when it was safe. He didn't get to take him up on that, but good for him.
That's awesome. I wonder how the poor blokes, because they are blokes, at the factory are going to have to do like 97.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
Now, if you've ever been to a Formula One race, they'll be practicing beforehand. I watched when I went to the Abu Dhabi.
They got to do 87.
I watched those guys do like 20 in a row. A Formula One pit stop is fun to watch, especially the practice. But yeah, I remember reading about Captain Tom. He's a hard dude. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Upcoming races.
All right, Champ Car is at Charlotte for their Roval. There are 37 cars. 10 of them are BMWs.
Boring.
5 Miatas, 2 Civics, 1 Porsche, a Pulsar, and a 300 ZX.
Yeah.
Pulsar.
I'm more
with the
excited about the
Sportback.
Pulsar.
Yes.
Oh, is it the Combi or like the even first generation with the pop-up?
Who knows?
It said 82.
Headlights.
Chrissy and I
82.
found. Oh, that's the early one. Chrissy and I remember
80,
we saw it on-
it's the first gen.
It's like the one you and I saw car spotting. that
Oh,
night.
yeah. We found
It is totally that one. Yes.
It's not
Jeff,
that one because that
Jeff,
one
do you know
was
Not
Not
that
very
exact one.
funny.
Jeff, do you know what the first generation Pulsar has?
Pop up and down headlights.
Here we
Pop
go.
up and down headlights. Pop up and down
Down
headlights.
headlights.
All right, go on. Next story.
Hey, Lucky Dog is at the Ridge. We don't have a list of entrants, but it's a great group. It's a great track. They're going to have a good time. That's about it.
Yeah.
Recent results.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I had
was
to
there
scroll.
There's what?
was there
Keep
a race
scrolling.
this weekend?
Scroll.
I am sorry. That was my
Scroll,
fault.
yeah.
I didn't realize I
Scroll.
didn't scroll faster.
Sorry.
Okay.
Scroll.
I built all those into the notes.
It's okay. I just didn't realize it was me.
Yeah.
So, okay. Champ Car Championship at Road America Saturday, as we have talked about the scandalous Tuttle Mitsubishi 108. Second was R Bank Racing CRX, and Visceral Racing was in 944 was in third. TQs happened on Sunday. Sunday was the Premium Dudes E30 tuck top, billing by R Bank and Visceral Racing. Tuttle 108 listed as last.
Yikes.
Of the 18 teams that are vying for national title, your champ car champs are R Bank Racing. In Class A, Two Brothers Racing in their 86 Mercedes in Class B, and Leviathan Motorsports MR2 in Class C, and there's another one in C, Birmingham Racing in their Lexus SC300.
Yeah, I think they give their championship based on total points, no matter what your class.
Got it.
That is 1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you.
Our Bank Racing ended up being second in both races on the track, but ended up now is listed as second in both, but actually, technically finished.
Yeah.
Never mind. It's all confusing.
Well,
Congratulations.
R Bank Racing. Yeah. R Bank Racing did a great after they upgraded to the CRX from their previous car, which was the Black Sob Rules.
Ugh. Well, Robin Bank and R Bank Racing, congratulations on winning the championship. And there's a great post-race interview about the national championship where he says, I don't really even want to talk about Brian Tuttle.
Good.
Excellent.
One more thing, Mental. He also did not win an entire race all season. He has been second or third extremely consistently and won the championship without winning a race.
So sometimes the bridesmaid still wins.
Yep.
All right. Well, my segue was ruined. So
Sorry.
I'll just say that Lemons was at Pitt Race. First overall in what the last hour it was theirs to lose, but all weekend, very tightly contested race was the Boston Whiners and their beat to absolute snot E30. That car has been around forever. Go ahead, Chris.
Early on, years ago, that car was extremely aggressive, which is why it's beat to hell. And and it's very blowy uppy. So we always would see them. They would be flying around, cutting everybody off, being jerks, and we'd say, "Yeah, whatever. They're going to crash or break," and they did. But this time, they drove much more cleanly than they have before. And you know what? Hey, it worked. Look at that.
Absolutely. They had the exhausted, almost the same level of exhaustion on their faces when we won at Thompson. And they said, we have never actually, all the years we've been doing this, we've never won. I'm so tired. It was actually really great to see those guys win. Second, just nipping it at their heels. Momrath, Amanda in the E36, she had a good crew this weekend. Alex Levinson was running with them, but they just couldn't do it. And they had just on Sunday, just a few, as Alex put it, did a stupid trips to the penalty box. Third was Save the Tatas and their Cadmero. They had an extended pit. They had a mechanical issue, but they were in the hunt by the end of Saturday. Those guys were coming at it pretty hard. Also in 11th place was the Schumacher Taxi, Rob's Mustang, one of only 2.5 Mustangs that were running by the end of Sunday of the litany of Mustangs that were out there. And C, I'm so proud of this. Hold on, folks. Class C, if you haven't already seen this all over their social media, and they've already released their episode, was the Garage Heroes in Training and the Ombre. I Got Screwed was Punisher GP. Watch the video because that whole thing is hilarious. Someone hit their race car. Heroic Fix. So do you guys remember the Fiat X19?
I remember a Fiat X19.
I remember there when
Fiat X19.
And then when I went way down the aisle, I saw a Fiat X19. I said, that's about where I expected that car to be. Okay, good. And then never saw it again.
Made 3 laps on Saturday, blew up, swapped the engine all night, made 2 laps on Sunday, blew up, packed it up, went home. Their children were there in a Mustang, Fox body Mustang convertible. They actually were doing all right Saturday, kept themselves out of trouble, kept their noses clean, didn't wind the engine to the red line, kept it under there, but it still blew up on Saturday. And they spent all night wrenching on that engine. And what was great about that is the other Mustang teams all donated parts. Hawaii 5 gave them a radiator. The one of the other Mustangs that blew up gave them some gaskets. They found a junkyard motor that was hopeless. So out of the 2 motors, they put it all together. They're punch drunk at 2 a.m. Their girlfriends were videotaping them. The car just was coughing and sputtering and coughing and sputtering. And they're like, they're looking at the diagram of the wiring and the timing. Why is it doing this? Why is it doing this? And then one of them notices that unlike Chevys that they're used to, the arrow goes the opposite direction. So they pulled the distributor out, turned 180, car fires right up. They went, we're going to bed. And they did nothing else until they woke up Sunday morning, buttoned it up, swung through the pits about an hour before checker. We're like, we looked at the records. We're like, why are you guys here? You're not in the penalty box. They go, oh, we just wanted to point out that this Mustang's still running, and proceeded well under the pit speed limit, went back out. So great bunch of folks, and really happy to give them that one.
So they showed up in our paddock. Let me say a real quick story. They showed up in our paddock and they were like, hi, who's Dave? We were told to find Dave with the Cressida. And Dave was like, I'm not answering.
He's not here, man.
He's like, well, what do you need Dave for? We heard you might have like a straight edge that we could check the hone of our cylinder heads. And he said, no, trust me, they're warped.
I actually
don't know who you're talking
sent-
about. I don't
yeah.
know what you're talking about, but they're warped.
I sent them to actually find Bruce, and I gave them
He
the story
asked
of the
for-
magic
yeah,
trailer.
He asked for Bruce. He asked for Dave. So I actually ended up giving him the straight edge out of my trailer, and I told him the trick of the the Walmart mirror and a piece of sandpaper to go all night. But
I think they just went with a new set of heads.
Yeah.
Or a new used set
Whatever.
of heads.
They had two heads.
Yeah,
They wanted
they
to know
were-
which one was best.
Yeah, they were hilarious and wonderful and just embodied the spirit of Lemons. And anyone that can make a Mustang last all weekend is paying attention. The judge's choice was the 70 shot, the Moonshot Jetta. That was, everyone, not just everyone on this podcast, everyone was like, my God, that car is so slow. But they stayed out of everyone's way and they weren't dead last. They just went and turned out. They were a great bunch of teams. And Kim is sitting there on Saturday. She says, you know what would be great right now? A cold Corona. Dude shows up with a cold Corona because he was pitted right by us. They were just fantastic folks to have around. First ever Lemons race. So hopefully he'll be back. Organizers or the regional award for it was Tom Pyrek in that ever terrible van because they were making the Suez Canal jokes. They blocked Black Flag on Saturday morning. They blocked pit lane exit on Saturday afternoon. I think they blocked us Sunday morning. They hit the building trying to block getting in on Sunday morning. So good.
Yeah, they
theming,
did their
and
what
they
what
stuck
kind of
with it
van
all
is that?
weekend.
Honda Odyssey.
Honda Odyssey. They made their Honda Odyssey into the boat that blocked the Suez Canal. And I want to ask, I want to talk about their costumes. One dude looked like Captain Crunch.
I have no idea.
I get it.
Yeah.
One dude looked like a shark. I get it. The third dude looked like a Christmas tree. And I don't know why he was wearing a Christmas tree.
I'm going with Evergreen, some sort of bizarre type, because they
Oh,
showed
I
up
guess.
like
I just
middle
think
of the
that
day
was the only-
Saturday. It just did a techno dance and then left. And I'm like, well, Left Shark screwed that all up. So I just started calling him Left Shark. But yes, that was it was hard theming, very hard theming.
I think that was the only theme he could quickly get his hands on at home. Like he's like, oh crap, I need a costume. I got this. Okay, good.
Well,
was a
Evergreen
good-
makes sense. Evergreen now it makes sense. I'm going to go
It
with
was also
Evergreen.
it was also a really good looking Christmas tree. So it's like it was
Well,
well.
he definitely bought that. That wasn't just
That's
laying
fine.
around.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's fine.
No,
Well,
I mean,
bought it
like
for
he
something.
didn't just like have it laying around. Like
He
Chris
might
is
have.
suggesting. That's
Dude.
you're
I'm with
right.
Chrissy. He might have. And he's like,
you
this is a good looking Christmas
Have you
tree. I'm not
seen our
throwing this
theming
out.
boxes?
True.
Multiple
True.
boxes.
I remember that there was a whole theme in New Hampshire where our theme was
Old
themes
themes.
we've
Old
done
themes.
before.
Ghost of themes past.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, for the life of me, organizer's choice. I can't, it was not it was them. We have them in there, but I without looking it up. It was the Airstream Mercury Marquis, number 50. They grandma's Mercury Marquis. They left the adjustable pedals in that car, took the dash out completely, welded a metal box onto their roll cage that had two switches. One of them said wipers and the other one said pedals up and down. So they left the adjustable pedals and raced clean, stayed out of pits. We're in 500 treadwear tires. It just kept lumping that thing around. They were hilarious. And IOE went to the Cheese Bolt Enterprises Tempo. The Sir to Jackie Stewart, it's really a driver's car. You can find that commercial. Jackie Stewart endorsed the Ford Tempo when it was new, said it was a great car. And they brought it. They started theming before the race. They were emailing Eric and everyone. It was hilarious. They built a mini version of the Tempo where the Tempo actually drove a loop, a highly modified thing. And the fact that thing lasted all weekend, because it was so tragic, just horrible by tempo standards. It was bad.
Yeah, it was even
And,
it wasn't even a
they
good
just-
tempo.
I
They went
understand that they had to once a lap cycle the key on a straight to get the ECU to actually work. So otherwise it wouldn't give them like
That's
it
terrible.
wouldn't give them
Once a
almost any
lap?
fuel.
Oh,
Yes,
Yeah.
once a
God.
lap. So they'd go on the straight and like when they were kind of about to brake, they'd go off, on, and then it was fine. And they keep
It's a
going.
That's
tempo.
kind of
You got
terrifying.
you got time. Yeah, you got time.
You got
I
time.
mean,
Yeah.
down the straightaway. It was an automatic. I mean, they weren't getting anywhere in a hurry.
But they went around and around.
Oh yeah,
They
and
stayed
stayed
out
all
of
the way.
people's
weekend.
way. No,
Yep.
they were good.
Yep.
I mean, good.
Highly
That's
predictable.
relative. I'm sorry. It's not necessarily true.
They're IOE good.
We didn't see them in. I think they stopped by like after the race both days to say hi. The penalty. We didn't see them at all. This is the third race this season, and Pitt Race was by far the best. We had a few repeat customers, but not nearly the kind of aggro stuff. Eric Rude made sure to point out to everyone on staff that it's the influx of Midwest racers that were just keeping everyone polite and happy. It was just an overall great weekend. You if you didn't come out, you missed out. That was a good time.
It was. We'll talk more a little later.
Yep.
We will.
Soon.
We will talk more.
Listener feedback.
So here's some feedback. We watched Kreger's open and close his butthole because of what he learned on the show.
I'm so happy with this.
He and Kurt practiced opening and closing the butthole on the way there.
But it didn't work because they were driving.
But they practiced and they were doing it together to practice it.
So you're on
Jeff's
mute.
on mute.
So
Sorry, work is texting me. You really need to explain this for people who may have missed last week's episode.
Well, if you missed last week's episode, turn it off
Go
and
back
go
and
back
listen
to
to
it. No, we can.
Yep. Oh, fine. And it's apparently a new thing in a Tesla is under the voice commands. One of them is open butthole, and it will open the charging port on the
I thought
car.
it was bunghole.
Both.
Butthole. No, well, butthole definitely works because that's what they
Both
tried.
work.
Yep.
That's part of
And
the
also,
article.
Closed butthole works too. If you're in the car and forgot to close the charging port, you can say close butthole and flips down. Your butthole is closed.
Which, by the way, I say is an E1R exclusive because no one knew that before Kreger's tried it.
Well, Kreger's didn't know about this thing working. So then they demonstrated they were stealing our power because he was charging the car because that's what they have to do. And so he walked over to the car and I said, you got to try it. So he tries it and it works. So we watched it happen. It's awesome.
He demonstrated it for Chrissy.
He did.
There you go.
It's good.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you to everyone who is replying to all of our pictures and all of our experiences this weekend. We appreciate all of your concerns. So I only have a few here, but in the picture of Jeff holding the first broken banjo bolt from the steering rack, John S. said we should have bypassed the pump. Actually, many people suggested this.
Yes.
Just saying. Then he said we were weak with exclamation points because we said it was a bad idea because we had a heavy car. My comment is that if you only saw the leak line from the garage all the way down to our paddock, you would have been okay with us not dumping all of that.
It was more
onto the
about
track.
not dumping the oil on the track. We're going to be completely honest
Absolutely.
here.
Oh yeah, and we knew that we had nothing that was going to actually fix it for making it worth the rest of the race. So, or even going out and he said send it. We said no. Yeah.
But Jeff's video after he returned from Summit was quite popular on the Instagram.
It was? I didn't notice.
Yeah. Because otherwise you have to drive to Ohio.
That's what I said.
And no one in Pittsburgh wants to drive to Ohio.
No, nobody wants
No one
to go to
anywhere
Ohio.
wants to drive to Ohio.
No,
but it's pretty
If
close.
you're in Ohio, you don't want to drive to Ohio.
It's worse if you're saying from Philadelphia, you're saying you have to go to Ohio. But if you're from Pittsburgh, it's not that far. Also,
we'll get more to this story on the main topic. So go on.
yeah, sure. So lastly, Ted F noted that Jeff is looking very svelte, hashtag add lightness.
Nice. I noticed he
Also-
said that, but didn't want to mention.
Oh,
Trying.
thought it was very nice.
No, it was
yeah.
very nice. Go on.
And I don't think you guys have checked the Instagram, but Chrissy caught a Honda Imposter that snuck into penalty. And we got a video of her expressing her opinion on the Instagram visually of the Honda Imposter. That was also quite popular. And I think one person said, I have never felt so I feel this way every single day of my life. Let me read the actual thing here. Yes. So it was if you go to our Instagram and see how Chrissy visually expresses her opinion of this Honda, and the Lemons Blockhead said, I have never related to anything more in my life.
Nice. Well, I should say that a lot of the wonderful pictures you can find on our Facebook page and everywhere else is from Bobbin and Eric, who are the team Shutterbug. So thank you to both Bobbin and Eric for just absolutely just killing the pictures. Pictures are fantastic.
They caught a lot of the times when we couldn't get to it or didn't think about it, or we were under the car and they took all the rest of the things that were going on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Awesome.
Move on.
I suck at racing. Lemons in iRacing. There was none mid-season.
End of this month. We're looking for an announcement at the end of this month.
Yep. We'll look for it.
Excellent. Well, that doesn't stop us from having E1R races, though. We relaxed on Monday after this week of a meat space race where we got to meet the Nate Shavine, which was fun. And we decided to run the Irwindale figure 8 jump because that's always fun. Jeff.
I didn't get to the race because I was unpacking RVs and stuff. But I wanted to mention that I learned 2 things about Nate Shavine this weekend. One, he is a seat. I don't want to say the word. He has low moral standards when it comes to choosing what seats he races in. That guy will steal almost as many seats as Randy. That is part A. And part B, rock star hair. If we had him on this podcast, Mental might lose best hair.
Part 3, drives a troll blazer. Friggin', he fired that thing up as we were getting ready to leave on Sunday. Woo, it sounded good. Speaking of seat stealers, at the airport, I got to have a beer with Randy. Nice. He apologized for stealing everybody's seats, but he said I'm not going to stop.
Nope. So at our Irwindale figure 8 jump, first race was kind of normalish cars, which the Miata holds up surprisingly well to that, and the AMG does if you slow down enough. The Legend can keep going and going and going; it just bounces everywhere. Second race was cars that jump, so it was rallycross cars and trucks, and on both these races, everyone's a winner because you can't not have fun with that stupid thing. Lots of laughs all around. Yeah, it was good. Next week, I'm thinking about maybe going back to Irwindale for an inside-outside race because I hear that's a thing.
Oh, yes. I like that.
And we've never tried that, so maybe we try that.
We'll screw it all up. It'll be hilarious.
Oh, yeah, totally. And we'll do one time with normal cars and one time with roundy round cars because we don't know any better.
What's that Silver Crown thing?
Roundy round. Oh, who knows what? Whatever bullshit.
Because I think you end up going left for some of them, and right, left and right for some of those.
We're gonna find out.
Yeah,
sprint cars, things with the wings on them.
Now I'm sure there's a lovely way to segue Chrissy's mom into the figure 8 type thing, but even the times that I was not in the paddock the whole time, but so many people came to the 3-Pedal Mafia paddock and said, are there cookies?
Are there Chrissy's mom's cookies?
Are there any cookies available? We heard these are really good.
Are there some around? I hope so. I usually keep at least a box or 2 up there.
Oh, absolutely. But so many people stopped by and were like, oh, I heard that these cookies are really good. And you know what? Every single one of them said, oh my God, these are really good.
Can I give my live review of the black and white?
Sure.
So Chrissy's mom made a new cookie and sent it and said she needed a review of the cookie. So here's the review of the black and white cookie. It was the New York style black and white cookie, but it was much smaller and a little thinner. And I found it even better than the New York ones because the New York ones, I can't eat a whole one. And what do you do with half a cookie? So these were like thinner and they are like cakey and they were like perfect consistency. While sometimes I think the New York ones are a little need extra milk or something when I eat this. So I liked it.
I didn't get a chance. I didn't know those were there. I fell in love. I've never had the chocolate peanut butter ones.
Oh, they're excellent.
Yeah, they are. I think I polished off the
chocolate with the peanut butter chips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they're not a usual one. I think they were new this time.
Yeah. I think I polished off that box when I was up there before I got in the hot tub. And then the ones that you brought to the penalty box, they had the half-life of a,
cesium isotope.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
They were cinnamon bars and peanut butter jelly bars.
You had to question whether or not they existed. They disappeared so quickly every time any of those cookies.
I did see some of them later, but Kurt said that they were really good for breakfast. I'm glad everybody enjoyed them.
He's not wrong.
We said thank you, Mom, for all that you brought. Many kinds of cookies. So everybody was happy.
Yeah, Chrissy's mom. You now have. I think you have more fans than we do. Actually, I think there are more fans of Chrissy's mom than of this podcast. Hundreds of racers just bless your soul every night before they go to bed and pray.
Only if they could get the cookies. That's half the battle.
Yeah. Let's talk about the race. Hey, everybody. In case you didn't know, I mean, half the podcast already has been about it, but we're going to talk about the Pittsburgh International Race Complex season opener. Well, our season opener was like the third
East Coast. East Coast
opener,
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah.
The Lemons, quote, pit maneuver, which, oh boy, did people do some pit maneuvers out on the track this weekend. We had 3 team entries and 4 cars, and we're lucky we had a backup because you already heard we wimped out, according to some people, and did not put the Z back on the track for the whole time. If you follow us on social media, you probably know some of what's coming up, but we're going to get a little bit more detailed. If you were at the race, maybe you saw something you didn't understand. Now we're going to talk about it. But hey, glad to see so many listeners. We didn't really pimp the show to get new listeners, but if you are a new listener because you met us at the track, a mental saying he did. Yeah, we lost an opportunity to pimp to some of the Midwestern people, but whatever. Hopefully you're new. If you're new, hit us up on the social media and say, hey, met you at the race. We're new.
Especially the new teams. A lot of cars rolled out of a BS inspection with one of these beauties on the back.
Yeah.
We saw random cars with our stickers.
I did.
on
I
them.
was like, man,
Like the
somebody put a
Mitsubishi
sticker on
that was parked next to us that didn't move much, and then they did move, and then they broke, and then they left. We were like, that's our sticker over there.
Yeah, they just met them.
I did not randomly tag a single vehicle. I handed these out.
Oh, good.
And so anything that showed up on a car was placed.
I randomly tagged some vehicles, but not with E1R stickers, with other things. Let's talk about the story. We've been talking about it for a long time. We debuted the 300Z with the 4.8 LS. Many people at Lemons kind of knew about it. I didn't think that many people actually listen to the podcast, but sure. So we didn't get a whole lot of robot arms and this is terrible and how did you do that? We definitely got a lot of, this is going to be fast, right? It's going to be fast, right? We're like, no, it's going to break, right? And I think there were some people who were a little confused by the theme. So we're going to talk about the theme real quick. It is
Corvette
done up.
magazine.
It's done up like a Corvette. And we are going to be talking about Corvettes and Corvette magazine all year long. Eventually, all of the cars will all be Corvettes. That is going to
Corvette
spread
magazine.
around. Yeah. There might even be like some extra podcasts based on some things going on Corvettes and Corvette magazine. So yeah, Corvettes, mother. Go ahead, Chris.
On testing day, one of the non-Lemons people there for testing day with his Corvette.
Yes.
Got the fact that it was a Corvette theme. He was an old dude driving a 70, C3 Corvette on the track.
I talked to that guy.
The red
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that thing sounded so good.
He
They were
understood
right
our
behind
Corvette
it.
theme,
That'll do.
and he thought it was funny.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I took lots of pictures of guys at the track Friday because it's a track day that is shared. There were lots of guys with their street Corvettes in New Balances, and I got their pictures with the New Balance shoes. But yes, we had jorts and New Balances, and we are going to be making fun of Corvette people all season long.
When I was working sign in, just people coming and getting their wristbands, guy rolls up in a C5 Z06, really well prepped. Like
Was it
proper
the yellow one? Look,
Yes, exactly.
New Balance.
And I'm like, there's no way this guy is here for Lemons. He is definitely here for the track day. And he gets out and he goes, yeah, I'm racing with so-and-so on the Lemons team. I'm like, well, I completely blew that. And I thought, okay, so the whole stereotypes are wrong. And then he gets out of his car and sure as heck, he's wearing New Balances. And I sent the video to everybody on the team.
Yep.
I got this guy's New Balances too, but I didn't get his car. He did have a Corvette. Couldn't get it in the same frame.
That 69 was for the track day. They were right behind penalty. And every time they'd fire that thing up, we'd be trying to do inspections for BS. And it just sounded like freedom. It was
Donnie, that number's for you, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a number 3. It is. But that car just sounded so great. I didn't get a chance to see it on the track, but did you guys see it on the track? It looked great.
I saw it go by a couple times.
So yeah, we tested the Z on Friday there. Pitt Race's testing setup is lame and that they break it up into several different run groups. So depending on how broken your car is, what time you're BS judging is, you might be missing these run groups and you only have one shot at it. So it's a shame. They would get more money if they just left it open, but they don't for the probably 10 non-Lemons cars that were there. Anyway, hopefully they reconsider that in the future. I know next year I'll probably write and ask them, hey, please just have an open testing day. You will make more money. Like we would test 2 cars if they didn't do it that way. And I Cressa didn't test because they said, well, I don't want to. Bill didn't test. It's just for example, right? Anyway, in testing, Jeff goes out. It seems not too bad. And Jeff,
great.
Didn't Eric start?
Yeah, Eric started.
Eric started
after.
Oh yeah, Eric went out in the rain and said, "Yeah, it's pretty quick." And then, but it's raining. He can't really do anything. He was on brand new sticker tires, never even been scrubbed in, and in the rain. Poor guy. So, but it's twitchy. Jeff, you thought it was good?
Absolutely. Fast, straight.
Yep.
Tracks, turns. Does everything a race car should. It's not loud. We thought it was going to be loud. Not loud.
Mm-mm. Then Jim went out, and Chrissy and I are standing at the fence watching as he's coming around. And he comes around once, and I see a little smoke from under the car. I'm like, that's not good. Let's see what happens next time. Next time around, a lot more smoke from under the car. And it's from under the car. It's not from the exhaust. So I said, all right, something's leaking, and it's getting worse. We got to go stop this. We have no radios. So I scoot down to the guy doing the grid, letting people on track. Is, hey, would you please black flag number 42? Something's wrong. And Jim was trying to rebed the brakes to get them to work because we had some shuddering in the brakes. So Jim was giving it the beans to get the brakes hot. He finally comes in, and the brakes are definitely hot. They're smoking. And I said, all right, well, something's wrong. Go drive around the paddock a few times and then bring it back to the garage because we don't want to park the brakes hot. So he does. Comes back in, and then we're talking about what it is. I get under the car. The leaks are not that big. There's some leaking around from the driver's side valve cover that's running down the back of the motor. There's some leaking from the power steering-ish area. Wipe that up. But it's nothing that tragic that would have been this. So, and then Jim said, oh yeah, the clutch isn't working real well. I actually was able to stop the car without stepping on the clutch, and it didn't stall in the paddock. We're like, it's a clutch. I don't know what to do with that clutch.
That clutch is impossible. It is impossible for us to do a clutch in that car.
Take a whole lot of stuff out.
We could do it, but it would take us many hours.
But I think I remember when you talked about the debut of the Z. You're like, yeah, if the clutch goes, we're not touching it because the motor has to come out. And nope, it's going on the trailer. I don't care if it's 10 minutes in. It's going on the trailer. We're not touching the clutch.
Yep. So that's what we thought it was. And then we started looking. It's nothing is obviously wrong with it. Why is this happening? This only makes, 80 foot-pounds more torque than the stock motor. That should be within the capacity of the stock clutch, right? Especially we're not drag racing or anything. And then we thought, well, maybe this is a Jim problem and not a clutch problem. And everything had cooled off. We drove around the paddock a little bit. It seemed fine. So we sent Christy out. Chrissy, how was it?
It was fast. It was also on and off. Wait, we didn't really talk about the weather anywhere here. Maybe we do later, but it was
a little drizzly. Yeah.
Well, but it was raining. It was cold.
Yes.
So it was windy and drizzly most of the time. So it was just to add to the weekend for that matter. It's fast. I had to make, as I was getting in the car, I'd ask Chris where the front of the car is because I didn't know where the front of the car is. I was like, it's down there somewhere.
It's the opposite of the back.
Sure, but with the you get the nose, the structural piece over the engine hood scoop thing, which flutters enough to make it a little bit concerning.
A lot, yes.
You're like, I really hope that's going to stay on. And it will, but it flutters. But that's all you see. So with the far corner, the nose goes down so much you can't really see. So anyway,
I think we've mentioned the roof is really low, so the race seat is really, really low as it can get.
On the floor in the back.
Yeah.
So it's not that Chrissy's short or can't see.
I'm not short.
Yeah.
It's the way God intended.
Sure, but it's a new build and a new car. It's the first time
Those of you on YouTube, that's exactly what it looks like.
You know what? It's better than the solstice. When I got in the solstice, I literally was like this. I looked at the team and I was like, hello. Like you couldn't see anybody, right? And again, none of us are short people, so this was not too bad. It was fast. I was kind of not babying it, but it's new and it's fast, and it just has a lot of torque, and if you got, and it's a game of modulating the gas so much because they're
sing the song.
No, well, I'll sing it when in the Mazda song. I'll sing it when we talk about Mazda. But it's the travel is very short in the Z, so you have to be very precise on how much you want to give it, because between an inch you end up with and so you just have to figure out where you want to be. So it was fine, and then we found out it's a gym problem. I came in, I did my stint, I came in.
Clutch was fine.
Clutch was fine. So I was like, okay, this is going to be a little scary tomorrow, but we'll figure it out. Fortunately, testing day had 20 cars on track at a time because they split up the Lemons group. So there really weren't many people out at once. So yeah, it was fine.
So apparently Jim wasn't able to get his left foot all the way off of the clutch pedal. And because the pedals are actually quite light in this car, he didn't notice. So we solved that problem by pulling the seat back 2 notches, and all is well. No problems.
That's much better than the alternative. So
absolutely,
we are fine with it. And
totally.
Jim said it's a me problem. And then we all said, okay.
It appears to have done no real damage. Everything seems okay. So.
Have we ever actually had a major Jim problem before? I mean, I know he didn't like driving 4 hours, but he's usually really good. He's like good on a car.
He's flat spotted some tires in his day.
Yeah,
more than just one.
He was king flat spot for a year or so there.
I do remember that.
Okay, so let me finish the rest of my stint.
He's saying one goat as he's watching on YouTube right now.
It's I said it was more than one goat.
Like 4 goats, Jeff.
Four goats. Okay, so the end
4 goats, and you're getting called. Yeah.
So the end of my stint, I end up with, so we already knew and thought that there were power steering issues before we got in, right? We haven't talked at all about power steering. So, I got in, well, it needed more fluid. It was running through some fluids. We added fluid before I went out. And then towards the end of my stint, I hear every time I turn the wheel go, and it gets louder and louder. And I'm like, I'm good. I don't want to burn
like the
burn
cat
this thing
that
up.
wants snacks.
Kind of like she's like next to you, but it started not that bad, and towards the end of my less than 20 minutes stint, it was getting worse.
We should mention that Eric said when he got in, he says, or was that actually at the race? I think it was at the race.
That was the race.
So yeah, I'll hold that. Go on. Let's get to the race.
Well, then I went out after Chrissy, and I said, all right, everything seems generally okay. We put more fluid in. Okay, I'm going to give it the beans because I want to figure out what's going to break, and I want to also find the limits so we can all talk about where, like, how does it really handle, where, like, how do you deal with it when you're trying to go a little faster? So I built up, and I went out not at the start of the session. I went out at like a minute after it started. Everyone was already gone, and I get out and there's nobody on track. By the end of the 20 minutes, I had gone around everyone, like, and I was passing cars so fast that I stopped, like I let off the gas and looked around in my mirrors and stuff to make sure I didn't miss a yellow flag.
It's fast.
This thing hauls.
Yeah.
And
it hauls the mail.
And handling is great. It's neutral with a slight bias toward oversteer. So you have to be very careful. But it will understeer with the right throttle application, but as soon as you give it enough gas, the back comes right around on you. So when you're in a corner, you're modulating the gas and steering with the throttle a lot.
Yeah, very controllable. Not like the TR that'll snap out and find you. Nope.
You just have to be careful because if you overcook it into a corner, you're not just easing off. You're not just pulling off the gas and scrubbing it off. You can ease off the gas a little bit and move a little bit of weight to the nose. But if you pop off the gas, you're just going to trail throttle yourself right off the track. So you have to be careful with the gas. But the power steering, when it worked, was really light and easy to control and communicative. And the brakes were shuddery. We weren't quite sure why, but it was inconsistent. It wasn't every time. Like if you went hard, usually we're okay. There was like a certain speed that it was bad. But we were into fifth on the straight. I think I saw 120 before it turned 16. It was
I didn't look down.
Going all right.
I know I was moving down the straight, but I did not. My eyes were focused on the turn of the braking zone.
Yeah.
I was also out in the wet a little bit, so
I just wanted to see where it was. I was curious.
Yeah.
It was, after I'd been doing it enough. So anyway, overall, great. Yeah, power steering was getting loud, and anytime I made a right turn, like a long sweeping right turn, there would be smoke. But if I kept the RPMs down in those long sweeping right corners and used fourth instead of third, which it has a torque to pull out of the corner, the smoke was much less. So I think what we're happening is we're filling up the cylinder head on the left-hand side with oil when you have the RPM up and you have a long corner, and the valve stem seals are crappy and weak because this is a 18-year-old junkyard engine that was $150. So it was burning off the oil. But as the oil burned down from where we had overfilled it to a normal level, the smoking pretty much stopped. So
I think it's all power steering, and I think the power steering pump, when you turn it, is spewing it like all over the exhaust.
I think it's both. It's a combination, because it was only in long right-hand sweepers.
Yeah, like when you're turning the wheel.
But it wasn't in the left-hand sweepers.
Okay. I wasn't out in that part.
And it wasn't in the shorter corners. It was only the long ones. And it was definitely better if I dropped the RPMs.
Okay. Of course, that would also work with the power steering. Whatever. Go on.
To a point. Anyway, I brought it in. It was hot. It was leaking. But it
was boiling.
Yeah, power steering was done. There wasn't any fluid left in it. It was really hot. But that was my point. Is I wanted to go out and find the thing was going to break, because let's find it on Friday, not on Saturday.
If you're going to boil a fluid, I think power steering fluid is probably your top list.
In an endurance racer, though, you need more than 20 minutes out of it.
Yes, that's probably a problem.
But if you're presented with a Sophie's choice, what of your fluids is going to boil? It can be your oil, your brake fluid, your radiator, or your power steering. Oh yeah, dude,
power steering.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
That's so. So green flag. We're confident to take the green flag the next day in the Z.
Now that night we stuck a power steering cooler in it that we got
did.
from
You're right.
Summit, and we put new brake rotors on to try to cure the shuddering. And we said, "Send it." So Eric went out first,
and Eric did not do his whole stint. He did about 40 minutes, and he came in. He was having a little stomach issues, and he said the power steering has gotten worse. He says it kind of comes and goes, and that's kind of really scary in the sweepers when you're not expecting it, and then all of a sudden it's there, and then all of a sudden it's not there, and then it's there again. So we got to do something. And what did we do? We filled it up, and we put my brother in, and we sent it.
Gotta send that.
Did we put the Z back out on Saturday? I didn't think we did.
We did, yeah, because Jim went out. Jim went out, and he's the one that came back and said, "This power steering pump is gone."
Okay.
So
you did because you came over on Saturday for the rest of the story to swap.
Yeah.
After an attempt.
Because when Jim tried to pull it in, is when I looked underneath and just saw it explode out of the rack.
Was that when we had the actual explosion on the ground?
No, that was later.
That was later.
That was
fine.
The snail trail was at night.
Yeah.
No, but this was the other one that we were standing next to the Mazda.
Lots of snail trails.
Yeah.
This was more.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Jeff, what was the problem? How did it resolve so we can keep rolling on this?
So yeah, I'll go quickly here, but I'll say that the power steering line that changes from from Nissan to Chevy, because we have a Chevy pump and a Mazda and a Nissan rack. Why do I keep saying Mazda? You built it. It was a custom piece. Sorry. And it was just leaking. It was just leaking like a sieve. And if you turned it, it was leaking a lot more. We had already tried to cut down the pressure, and we don't know whether that was working or not, because we eventually found that it was one of the AN fittings that was leaking. In taking off and replacing and putting the AN line back on, I snapped an aluminum AN banjo bolts, and I felt like a turd. And I drove to Ohio to go get a new one because Summit is
As
only an hour and
turds do.
15 minutes.
Really,
Yeah.
that was it. That was your punishment.
Turds go to Ohio.
The Summit.
Yeah, turds go to
Yeah,
Ohio.
the Summit was a bonus staff, but Jeff, you broke it. Go to Ohio.
I bought a hat while I was there and a really sexy AN wrench that's an adjustable wrench. Yeah.
Check our Instagram. It's a funny video.
Yeah. So we took it all apart and we put it back on, and it leaked again, and we took it off and we put it back on. This is at night, by the way, because we had finished the day racing the Mazda, and we used a torque wrench, and we checked the manufacturer's suggested torque, and it broke again before we even came close to the torque ratings. So we have a feeling that those aluminum banjo bolts you get one Titan and one Titan only, and you probably, to get it to seal, have damaged it to the point where you can't take it apart again. Go on, Mental, ask your question.
I've known Jeff now for almost 12 years. Genuinely one of my favorite people on the planet. Always the upbeat guy when it's all going horribly wrong. Jeff is the guy that just keeps everyone happy, keeps everyone motivated. I have never seen Jeff so upset as when that second set broke. It was like Chris and Chrissy are all going, Jeff, it's not your fault. But you look like you had stepped on an elderly golden retriever.
Yeah, it was bad.
You were so bummed, and it totally wasn't your fault, man.
It took me a few to realize that it is probably a design error, and we probably need steel. And
we'll use the steel bolts.
Chris found the steel ones, and once I heard that, I was like, okay, there's a way to fix it later, and it's okay, and we'll just keep going.
Yeah.
So, but from I guess about 11 a.m., we were going for the Mazda.
Yeah, we sure were.
Tell us about the Mazda.
Chris, do you want to start with the problems in the Mazda?
Well, we don't have to talk about the problems. We talk about how we started. Essentially,
Okay.
we had it where we thought was ready to go.
Yes, that's what I was asking. If you wanted to speak.
We were going to pre-tech it. Is what we thought. This would be a good idea. We'll pre-tech it. It's just nice because even if it never hits the track this weekend, it's still nice to have a pre-tech. Right?
Dead
New
sure
car.
the Z is going to break, so we better pre-tech it.
So Chrissy rolled it down to tech, and it's going through. And I'm talking with the tech guy. I forget the tech guy, the other guy, not Dale, but the other guy.
Ken.
I forget his name. Ken.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was Brad. Brad was doing
Brad.
Yes. Yep. So Brad's just stepping the brakes, and nothing comes on, and I then yell up to Chrissy, "Step on the brakes a little louder," because it was kind of loud in there.
No, you all are like, do you know which one the brake is? And they had to come over and look in the footwell to make sure that I was pressing on the brake. And I was like, I am.
Nobody said that. So yeah, it was great, except the brake lights didn't work.
Nope.
Who knows why? This is a street car. Everything was fine. The lights for the brake lights are still there. We don't.
You took a lot of things out of this car.
I did, but not the brake lights. So anyway, I fixed the brake lights eventually, but it needed a new switch because the switch, we took the brake switch out. There was testing continuity between the terminals. There's only 4 terminals. There was no difference in any of them between open and closed. So I got a new switch from O'Reilly's. It showed up at Saturday at about 1:30. Eric got that. That did not fix the problem, but it did have difference in continuity between open and closed. So I ran a wire between the ones that worked and the one that didn't for the 12 volts, spliced it in with some scotch locks in the back of the car where I knew the brake lights were. Worked great. You know what I'm probably not going to fix any more than that?
I didn't know that. I assumed the switch had fixed it because I was in Ohio.
Oh no,
Nope.
He's running more wires.
I was running more wires. My head is under the dash. I'm trying to strip wiring back and run scotch locks under the dash.
We played a bunch of the on, off, on. Nope, nothing. Oh, on.
That repair is the most Wakeman thing you have ever done in your life.
Well, we're off track and there's a race going
Screw
on.
it.
So
I'm sticking it in the light bulb that works. I don't care.
Hey, it works great. So we did that, got a wiring harness for the radio in it quickly, and strapped in Chrissy.
Yeah, send it. I mean, I think everything was, we went back down to tech. We went through, showed it, got the sticker, all good. So, then I took it out And first of all, so we were talking about how it looks. It is just a plain white, pearlescent white with very minimal scratches. Now probably has a few more scratches. So it was just the plain white with the black black numbers on both doors, and then very fancy black Gorilla Tape on the makeshift roof. So it's very, and that's it. And right, toe stickers. That's really it. Like it barely looks like a race car.
Like the stock tow hook screwed into the
cleanest,
front
yeah, cleanest racing interior of any car out there.
Sure.
Once all like the fancy stuff left on Friday, you had the best looking interior.
And exterior for that matter, because everybody so we were standing in the tech line, and the people standing next to us, they're like, "That looks like you could just drive that." We're like, "Yeah, we just did."
Like a week ago.
Like a month. No, it was a month ago, but
Okay,
still.
right.
Yeah. So everybody was impressed, and it really stuck out. Stood out. Sorry.
I think you're correct.
Stood out.
I don't think we are.
I know. I combine the words. I stood out. Everybody else has colors and stuff, and all of a sudden you're like, where is the very boring, not looking race car? Yeah, it looks so boring. Jeff's showing a picture, and we'll post some more. Actually, there are some on 3PM's site as well.
I like it. I think the wheels really set it off. I think you got the stance just right.
I mean, that's all
the way it was.
That's how I drove it last week or 2 weeks ago. Chris took it to the gas station yesterday. So anyway, it looks great. It's now a little bit more dirty. And yeah, so it's awesome. How does it race? It's so much better than we all planned. It kept up. It was keeping up with cars that it shouldn't, and it was passing groups of cars that we just did not. My expectations were medium. I was thinking it was going to sit in traffic with the medium speed cars, and
tempo.
We were, it passed a lot of things. So I know that I didn't do it. I was the first to take it out. So basically I just had to figure out if it was going to drive and how it was going to be. And when I got out, I smiled the whole time. Part of it's me getting in my own car that I usually take to work, and I'm now putting it on the racetrack. So it was awesome. So that was my stint. But which was much slower than everybody else's. So what did everybody else think? I know Chris has an opinion.
Jeff, you want to start? Go next.
Sure. Basically, I did not get in Saturday. I got in Sunday, and I loved it. It was really fantastic. It has been a long time since I've been in a relaxing race car. We have been bombing the Civic for a very long time and trying to drive it like on the edge. And it was good to be in a car where I wasn't needing to win or needing to push. And it like, as you approach the limit, because it still had the Continental Extreme contacts on it, they would get a little greasy, and you just kind of back off a little bit, and bam, you're going by things. I got back into the habit of really managing the traffic. I think one of the things I do well is manage traffic and know like setting, I don't want to say like get too deep into my driving style, because that's a whole other show, but like, okay, at the end of this turn, I want to be on his bumper, but a little faster. So I will pause, because I don't want to catch up too early. So that way I could take the turn faster and pass him as we exit the turn. So it was like a lot more of the mental chess came back that I wasn't doing in the Honda, because the Honda was get right on him, get next to him, get past him.
Well, the Honda would pass anyone whenever you wanted.
Well, exactly. So you didn't have to plan it so much, but also you needed every second because we were trying to win. Mm-hmm. So this was good to, sit back and pick your spot and, like say, hey, I'd like to do this turn on the line. So I will not try and pass that guy and do it the proper way, so that when we hit the straight on the other side, then I will carry past him. So it was fun. It was great. Loved it. I tried 6th. I don't know if I was supposed to or not.
No, don't need it.
Don't do 6th.
Don't need 6th.
Yeah.
Yeah. The suspension is daily driver sporty in that it's, there's a bit of body roll, but not a tragic amount. The shocks are comfortable but firm enough. Like they kept the car well controlled. It wasn't flopping around. The big ass rear sway bar really helped keep it. Look how fairly level it is right there. It looks great. Had enough power. I mean, I was seeing
enough power, plenty power.
Seeing 100, close to 110 on the straight, where the Z was doing 120, but fast enough. It was
I was getting like
fine.
105 and saying that's enough.
Yep. But it felt stable at speed. It didn't do anything weird at all. It communicated really easily. It understeers definitely. And it's kind of, you have to kind of ham fist it to get it to oversteer, but it will if you do something on purpose like that.
I did 90 minutes on the track with a good driver in the Cressida and did not see them the entire time.
Yeah. Good
I
visibility.
drove with them. Well, I mean, I was going to say this before, but I think they were struggling. So we were.
That's true.
I stayed with Aaron the whole time, and I at some point let him by, and he was like, "No, I was keeping up with you," and I was like, "You're the Cressida. You should not be keeping up. I should not be keeping up with you." But
we'll talk about the Cressida's issues in a few minutes.
When I ran down and then ran away from the Cressida, I said, well, something's got to be wrong. But the lap times we were running, even on the 340 treadwear tires, were equivalent to the car that won B. So that gives you a point
because
of
B
reference.
was tight.
Yeah, the two cars that were 1, 2, and B, we were running. Our fast lap time was the same as theirs. Actually, less than a second faster than theirs. So the cars got a B in it. The brakes were great, like phenomenal. The power steering, because it's the electric power steering, worked great. It's just a stock modern car, and it's not the fastest thing, but it's fast enough, and we're gonna have a good time with it. Once we get some real tires under it, it'll be in good shape. So here's the sit rep. At Sunday, actually, I was in the car next to last shift, and I'm going around doing great, and all of a sudden something feels off. Just doesn't feel right. And I was worried about what it could be, because we were actually working the car hard, and to the point where like the tires were starting to spin on a corner exit in some spots. And, you could tell it's getting hard. So we pull it in because I said, something's not right. I want to check it. Nothing seemed apparently wrong, except the tires were in rough shape. And so eventually we sent Chrissy out at the end of the day for the last half hour just to take the checker and take it easy. And it was fine, but not quite right. Yesterday, I pulled the car in the garage, put it up in the lift, and do a really thorough once over. Like a wrench on every bolt. Here's the grand total of what I found wrong. The front tires are completely wiped out, like gone. We went through
cords,
not quite to the cords, but on the wear bars, totally trashed. Yes, Mental.
Do you think it's because they were the, Douglas Extra Treks?
No, these are Continental Extreme Contact Sports. These are not crappy tires, but they were just out of their depth.
They're not race tires.
They're not race
street
tires.
tires.
Okay. Right. Like if you're going to do a 20-minute sessions on the track, sure, they'll be great. But a day and a half, no, they're not designed for it. They got too hot. They got chewed up. But they were destroyed. And that was, I think, most of our problem. And here's the other part of the problem. We broke one rear sway bar end link. And because that sway bar in the back is like a bridge trestle, that made a big difference in how the car felt anytime we were cornering. It flopped around a lot more. It just didn't feel right because it didn't have that sway bar. That was it. That's the grand total. Nothing else wrong.
There's a lot less wrong with the 3 than there is with the Z at the moment.
Yeah. Everything else for the 3 is stuff that is like improvements, because second race, it's things like, well, we need to put the cool shirt in it. We got to put the radio harness in better, bleed the brakes. It was running, the water temperature was running a little hot when you're really on it for a while. It was climbing up to like 210, which is a little more than I'd like in a day that wasn't all that hot. So we got to get a little more cooling in it. So we need some real wheels and tires. Those Continentals aren't going to do it. Some of the gauges weren't working quite right. Need a new exhaust hanger because it bounces around a bit. And a clock. The clock is on the list.
There wasn't a clock? I didn't notice that. That's right, because you told me. I had to look at my watch.
Yep. So that's it.
Well, they'll both be back.
Totally.
In January,
they will.
Stronger and better than they were before.
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
Woo!
Cressida had a rough time. They actually had some fuel injection problems that they took a while to track down and found it was one of their injectors going bad. But you can't just go buy injectors for an 86 Cressida anywhere. They were able to find Right.
You can't
They
just
were able to
find them?
3 of them
Not
in
in
Ohio
Pittsburgh. You
somewhere.
can't. No.
Right.
Yeah.
They found 3 in Ohio that were like 10 cc's off the ones they used. So they bought those and put them in replace of the worst of the 3.
One of them was actually the wrong injector. That just
Yep.
went right back into the box. So it was in the wrong box. Anyway. Yeah.
So they replaced the ones they could, the ones they knew were bad, and put it back out. And it ran pretty well, but just wasn't quite as sharp as a Crested usually is. I think it lost a little something there.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, like the Civics, Mazda's fastest time was 3 seconds faster than the Cressida, and that shouldn't be.
No.
It was nice while it lasted. but
Yeah.
Not right.
So let's talk about Black Betty. Black Betty, we have said before that the Black Betty is hardcore. Yeah. Ready to be the next 3-pedal Mafia car for an overall win. They had a guest driver, Drew, because Ralph on our team is still mending a broken wheel. He broke his ankles. I don't know. What did Bruce do?
Ankles. Yeah, both
Bruce,
of them.
yeah. Bruce
Both
broke
ankles.
both of his ankles in a motocross incident because he's old and he shouldn't be on a motocross bike. I said it, but he doesn't listen.
Yep.
Shut the hell up. I guess. I think that's my sentiment. Yeah.
So they had a rare lack of problems. They only had like one mechanical failure, which Black Betty sometimes has several. But it was a big one, and it cost them 10 or 15 minutes worth of repair time. So add that with coming off the track and going on the track.
Fuel pump.
The fuel pump
Yeah.
in 10 minutes is flying, but
Yeah.
that
They
still
never
cost
actually
them a lot.
finished. They never got fixed. They were still having starvation issues till the end of the race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when that fuel pump went, they were in first.
Yeah.
They had just gotten into first. They were battling it out with Amanda, which, there's a repeat, but yeah, they were threatening the whole weekend.
Yeah. And they stayed clean almost the
Ish.
entire weekend. So it's been all over the internet, so I'm not saying anything out of turn, but they were racing for fourth between them and a car of longtime racers. They didn't go by Rally Baby. They had some other team name, but it was a bunch of the Rally Baby guys.
Cheat Strong. They had a great
Strong.
theme.
Yes.
They were all dressed up like Lance Armstrong. They had a giant syringe on the back of their car. They showed up with a bag full of pre-packaged urine samples and pill bottles full of jelly beans that we gave to the corner workers. It was a really well presented theme.
Yeah, excellent. Longtime racers in a 318 Ti, the little stubby one. And,
More like a 328 Ti, but
well,
yes.
yeah. The body was a 318. I won't say, and the rest of it was. But anyway, they were going back and forth between 5th and 4th place with them pretty much all Sunday, and they weren't going to catch third. Like third was laps ahead, and 6th was a couple laps behind, so it was only them two, and they were following each other for the last couple of laps, and 200 yards before the checker flag, right on the straight, they hit each other and spun into the grass. Cheat Strong ended up coming in 4th, and Betty came in 5th. The post-race CSI and name calling on the internet continued for quite a few days. We believe they have kissed and made up now. It seems that they have already decided that it was a racing incident, and they're going to share a beer and not punch each other the next time they're on the track, and so that's a good thing. But yeah, I've seen the videos, and I'm not going to comment because I like the Betty people. And I like the
Cheat Strong guys.
Yeah, I like them both.
Yeah,
I like
it's a
them
good
both.
team. They're good teams.
I'm going to say they both went for the same hole that neither of them owned. And I think it's just a racing incident.
Fortunately, nobody hurt.
Neither
car bent much at all, like ripples, but nothing significant. So,
a little scrape on Betty's nose because it got the worst of the hit. I will definitely say it got the worst of the hit.
And that's not the first hit Betty's had. That ain't the last battle scar that car. Yeah. Big Sexy is still trying to pin me for like a scratch on the back from a TR at Road Atlanta 5 years ago. But there's a lot of
There's a lot of
miles. There's a lot of miles on Betty's body right now.
Honestly, and I'll say this from the driver's seat, both of them could totally be right. Because if you just look from their driver's seat and you don't have the 360-degree view, I could see you thinking you were right.
Okay. So look at the video and say, enhance.
We need post-race CSI.
Don't look at the video at all. Wait for the wrap-up video. Have fun watching all of that, and just don't get involved in all this kind of nonsense. And just recognize that racing is fun, but occasionally you're going to swap a little bit of paint.
I was super happy that I'm not on any of the social medias to even see this or care. It was great. All right. What about the rest of the race? Mental, what did you see from your from the top of the bench there?
With having Kurt and Kreggers there as the judges was great because I got to go out actually on the track and gather up some of the photos. I'll have those loaded up to SmugMug. I am shamelessly, as part of my job doing social media, going to steal Eric and Bobbin's pictures and throw those on the SmugMug as well. So if you are racing this weekend, pay attention, probably by this weekend, we'll have everything loaded up on SmugMug. Also, Casey Leibel, who is he's an engineer, but recently has been a filmmaker on a small scale, was showing me some tricks about taking photos. He got a lot of great media. Check out the SmugMug. It's going to be cool stuff. This overall was just a fantastic weekend. One of our favorite teams, the Cleveland, it's a School of Engineering. They, for their senior thesis, they engineered a truck. And like any good engineering student, they completely ignored the requirements document, and their cage was painfully tragic. Through the floor, straight to the frame, not a 360-degree weld. Dale cried a little when he saw it, but we actually, everyone in the paddock got him helped out, got him all badged up. They got this truck out on there, and it was awful. Just so bad. The other Mercury Marquis was a group of electrical engineering students, and anyone want to guess what their problem that caused them to miss the green flag?
Was Saturday it wiring? Was?
Yeah. Their alternator wasn't charging, and finally, just before lunch, they figured that out. But again, great bunch of folks. I always love having young people come out and do this. We pick on Randy a lot, and we're not going to stop because it's funny. But Randy was there being Randy, and that in itself was funny. He helped get the both.
I said
yes. Well, both, and they were hilarious, and we love picking on both, and we're not going to stop.
Yep.
Check out the Only Lambs season 2 update at onlylambs.com. There is something to be said for Kurt and Kreggers, but they were out there. So it's mentioned in here the Bazinga Z is no more. They had an unfortunate on-track incident. The driver did have to do a bit of an assessment in the ambulance and was probably quite sore Sunday morning, but everyone's okay. It was an ugly hit. This, I don't know if you guys know this, but of the Z cars that all started, anyone care to guess which one completed the most laps?
I know this answer because you told me already.
Well, do we know how many ours actually did? Because it was on the same transponder and stuff as the Mazda. So I don't know.
It doesn't matter. It's Randy's Z.
Yeah.
Tragic Z, running almost entirely on
hopes and dreams,
oil treatment. Hopes and dreams and oil treatment. Managed to complete the most laps. Then he asked me.
There were two Z32s, and were there 3 Z31s?
Just one. Just Randy's.
No, there was more than one.
Randy's.
There was another one that didn't make it to the green flag.
Well, if they didn't, then it doesn't count.
That's true. It was in the paddock.
Make it to tech or black flag either.
Oh, okay.
Then they tried to sell it. There was also a drift event going on at Pitt Race that weekend. They tried to sell it to the drifters, and none of them would buy it.
Their problem.
Then they tried to sell it.
I was going to say, I love the Randy crew. They can pit paddock next to us anytime. They're hilarious. At one point, they were cleaning their radiator.
Competitive team.
Oh, absolutely. They begged for more penalty laps and got like 400. So people assumed
420.
people assumed that RZ was negative 420 because we're all sharing the same team name this year, which we probably should mention.
How
the
did you
cat's
get
out of the bag.
No, the Z didn't get negative 420.
No, it was the Subaru.
The Subaru.
It didn't matter
Subaru,
to
yes,
people that
yes,
are
yes.
watching on Race
Yeah,
Monitor.
they were
They're
like,
all
oh,
the same.
yeah.
And so nobody knows what number anybody else is. So they were confused.
So they were cleaning the radiator of the Z31 and they poured a gallon of gas in the radiator and like shook it around and then they couldn't get it out. They were like shaking it for half an hour. They were like, it's lost in there. It's not coming out. I'm like, well, find it, you idiots. You can't run with that.
Do you know who made that suggestion?
Oh, was it you?
Who told them to do that? No, no, absolutely not. I do not suggest doing anything with gasoline other than burning it. It was a certain ceramist we all know said, oh yeah, because they went and asked for jar number 4, and he said, nah, just dump some gasoline in there, you'll be fine.
Well, they said eventually it came out, but they were like literally shaking it, going, "There's a gallon of gas in here, and it just won't come out." No, that's bad, guys.
Yeah, and they used about 4,700 pounds of oil dry after they did all that nonsense. Other notable great things: the Derek Steinkamp showed up. He is now given a new name, Captain Happy Left Foot, because he stomped a fuel pump relay into oblivion. That's on the 24 Hours of Lemons Instagram. His explanation of it is, it's so Derek. It is the most Derek thing Derek has ever done. That was great. The favorite part of the weekend, though, and it was a bit disjointed because it happened in the last 5 minutes, but as we are getting ready to do the trophy parade, Kim, according to the Lemons COVID checklist, does an assessment and says, we can do a trophy ceremony. It was the first trophy ceremony that we have had for almost 2 years. Since the end of 2019, we have not been able to have a trophy ceremony. And that is all because everyone is following the rules. Everyone was wearing their mask. Everyone was keeping social distance. We were able to gather outside and do an old school trophy presentation. That was the highlight of the weekend. I was so happy.
Cool.
Totally.
Yes.
Was it an extra crashy race or was that just me?
Early on, I think it was.
It is.
And then it calmed down.
It is probably, yeah, it was an extra crashy race from you guys' perspective, because Midwest is always clean. And, the East is clean-ish, even though they're a little more aggro drivers, they tend to not crash as much. But after Sonoma, oh dear God, it was just so nice to be able to catch my breath. I was able to leave the penalty box. It was wonderful. Sonoma, I did not leave the penalty box from green flag until checker both days. It was awful. We had a few repeat customers and we had some very inventive penalties that I think everyone will enjoy this year or for the wrap up video. But even the penalty folks were having a great time. The other Mazda 3 team, the folks that painted theirs up, the green and white paint scheme, they were in the garages with penalty, and they observed they had the 83rd fastest lap or something. It was an absurdly slow lap, and they were running 26th because they listened to everyone. And the guys were all saying, do clean pit stops, keep your nose out of trouble, keep the car on the track. And they did. They were worried that they were going to have to find a new engine, but the car just kept going, and they had a wonderful time out there. And if you
I talked to them at
the fastest laps, go ahead.
I talked to them at the end because they found us because our Mazda 3 was way faster than theirs. They did comment at the end that their 5-speed gearbox had 3 speeds left. So
that's even worse. I didn't know anything about them.
They actually want to buy our transmission. Like they're saying, you want to sell that one?
Oh yeah.
So anyway, I exchanged emails with them. We talked all about what goes into a 2.5 swap. Like, well, how did you get that camber on the suspension? I ground some holes. All those things like that of like,
yes.
I yelled as they were packing after the race when they were like congratulating each other. I said, congratulations guys, second best Mazda 3 on the track.
Seriously.
They
so,
by
we'll
Saturday
we'll
they
be
were having to
exchanging.
hold it. Yeah. Saturday they were having to hold it in third, and then by Sunday, no, just third, fifth. But
That's kind of
great,
miserable.
great bunch of crew. It is 100% miserable. It was and I also want to publicly say this. I said it privately, but Saturday I was exhausted. We were there wicked early and worked all day, and I was going to go home and just crash in the hotel room. And Chris pointed out that the hot tub was there and it was fully available. And he said, you could sit in a hot tub and wind yourself down and then go back to your hotel room, or just go back to your empty hotel room and not hang out with your racing friends you haven't seen in 6 months. So I absolutely climbed to the hot tub and just sat there, and I got to catch up with the Fishers, and I got to listen to the whole formerly known League of Legitimate Nigerian Businessmen and everything. It was just a great time Saturday in the paddock, just nonsensical, catching up with everybody. What a fun time. And also special thanks to Chrissy. She didn't just take care of me. She took care of everybody. Kurt, Craigers, Kim, the other folks, Casey, everybody was eating 3-Pedal Mafia food that weekend. It was awesome. We were fat, dumb, and happy just because Chrissy would text, hey, breakfast is ready. Here's some coffee. Here's some lunch. Here's some dinner. And everyone in the penalty box couldn't shut up about how great that was. Just really
Sometimes I delivered.
looked after.
Sometimes you
Yeah.
said, get your
And
ass
actually,
over here.
was
It's
it
not
one of
very
the times-
far.
Sometimes I did that too.
Yeah.
Right. One time you said, hey, you want me to bring it? And I showed it to Kurt and Craigers, and they're like, she's making us food. We can all haul our lazy butts over there.
And we
get it
weren't
on
too far,
ourselves.
really. We were the first RV next to you.
Yeah. So it was my favorite thing, I think, or aside from the pin thing, was also there were just a lot of brand new teams, and every single brand new team totally got it. They were like, oh, it's great. Yeah, I don't have to be fast. I just have to keep the car on the track. We had a Mustang it was a boring paint job, but a well-executed Vanilla Ice theme. The Mustang convertible, the 2 different engineering schools, all of the new teams, the Mazda 3, everybody came there. There was no new team that was trying to be, we're going to get a professional contract. They were all like, my God, this is so wonderful. I don't have to be competitive. I can just be an idiot. This is wonderful. I love this. Every new team was so great. That was a perfect introductory race for anyone that was just starting out. The mentality was great, and everyone was so helpful to all the new teams.
Real quick, are you going to mention the bribe that you got? That you called out on the show?
Oh, of course. Why, yes, Jeff. I received this 24 karat gold plated socket wrench, collector's edition, one of the Icon tools from the Garage Heroes in Training. In fact, it was bestowed upon me by Loki himself. And as much as I am in love with this wrench, recognizing the momentous occasion, and honestly, a reflection of the hard work that the Garage Heroes have put in with their driver's education and the work they did on the truck, they were able to win C. So I recognize I can never open this now. So I put a sticker on it, got Bill to sign it. It's fantastic. And then I have been checking my local Harbor Freight every day, and they have 8 in the warehouse, but none have made it to local stores yet.
Well, guess what?
And I only bring that up, Jeff, because you got something.
That's right. Look at it glisten.
And yours is usable.
Ooh.
Jeff bought his own
I
special
did also-
edition wrench. Yes.
He did. I also got this trophy from the Jetta. So I'm officially the best BS judge. This is not showing up very well. Let me see if
Congratulations.
I get this.
Well,
I
half
get
of this
this
podcast now has a special edition commemorative.
We have a
Yeah.
usable one.
The other half
Mine
has
is-
a non-gold version of the same one. So-
Mine's totally usable. Watch me use
But
it.
I went to my local Harbor Freight and asked about the gold plated wrench, and the guy's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's a tool nerd thing. Trust me, you got a gold plated wrench." And he like brings it up, and he's like, "Why? What the?" Oh God. Okay. Jesus.
Why?
This is ridiculous.
I'll briefly tell you the story of mine. I was using the restroom in the post race between my shower before I could go to bed, and I said, "Damn, Mental! I'm so mad he's got one. I've been searching for one of them since like April 3rd when it hit YouTube. I've been trying to find one." And I go to the website and I do a quick search, and there's like one in New Jersey, and I'm like,
The Pennsauken store. I told you this last week.
no,
It's
it
at
was not at
Pennsauken.
the Pennsauken store. Was
No?
gone. That one was gone.
Okay.
They disappear immediately because this is like 2 a.m. on a Sunday, and it says Egg Harbor Township, which is right near where I work. So I said, well, I guess I'm going to go for it tomorrow. And I went down and I walked in the store, and there's a, it's like just as they open, and I walk in and there's a lady at the door, and she's like, "Hi, may I help you?" And I was like, "Hi, dumb question. Do you have the gold-plated ratchet?" And she goes, "A what?" I say, "A gold-plated ratchet. It's a special edition. The computer says you have one." And she gets on her little radio and she goes, "There's a guy here looking for a gold-plated ratchet." And a lady from across the store who's at the register goes, "Oh my God, we got that." And I'm like, "Where?" And she's like, "Third aisle." So I go over and there's a guy there, the only other guy in the store, and he's standing in front of the ratchets like, "Which one of these tools do I
Not that
They
one.
don't-
And
They
he's
don't
like,
have it
"Do
locked
this."
up. They don't have
No.
all of the
It's
icons
like-
are locked up.
It's just on the hook in the middle of the icon. So I'm like,
oh my
Yoink.
God.
I think
Run away.
yoink, run away.
So-
I
so I-
think even ours was on.
Yeah.
You had to get somebody to take it off.
Yeah.
so I
gold plated.
I yoinked it right off the hook in front of him, and he was like, "What did that guy grab?" He didn't even know what it was. I took it up front, and I'm like, "Please help." She's like, "Yeah, it looks nice. Good job." She's ringing it up, and all of a sudden, the general manager gets on the radio and says, "We have one of the gold-plated ratchets," and she goes, "You better come up and see it because I just sold it." I said, "You can tell him he doesn't have to rush. I'll show it to him." So the general manager didn't even know he had it. He's like, and I'm like, don't get attached, man. It's mine. And
I caught the general manager at ours. And he's like, as he's coming out of his office, I'm like, "Hey, do you have the collector's edition ratchets?" And he said, "No, but my truck comes in tomorrow." So I've swung by work twice, Harbor Freight on my way to work twice this week, trying to get one. And then I came back after the truck, and that was when the other guy was like, "What? A what?" And then he looks at it and he goes, "Well, you can order it online." I'm like, "No, it's in store only." And he goes, "Well, the warehouse has got 8 of them. The nearest one to me right now is 180 miles away in California."
Yeah.
According
You
to,
guys are
the Harbor
crazy.
Freight website.
You're
you're in
crazy.
trouble because the Tool Bear lives in Vegas, and he talks all the
What?
time. Yeah, Jeff the
I
Tool
didn't know
Bear
this.
lives in
Oh,
Vegas.
we have to get him on the. We have to get him on the show.
Oh, totally. I'll
Yeah.
email him tomorrow.
Cool. Fair.
Anyway, does anyone have anything else? This podcast has gone completely off the rails.
Like usual.
Uh-huh. When we let you two just keep going back and forth, and no,
This is why we have 4-hour
Rails are over
shows when you
there.
two aren't around.
now that's it. Now it's time for a new segment.
A new segment.
Well, not new, but new,
Oh.
not the segment we were
Not
on.
the one we were just
Oh.
on.
New segment time.
I was like, not news and
Just a
notes.
tip.
It's just a tip.
Just a
Hey,
tip.
here's a great tech tip for everybody. Check everything on your race car on the tech form before tech. Like, actually check. Don't say, "Yeah, it's fine." Because even stuff that you swear worked.
Like your brake lights.
Right. Like your brake lights. Because you say, "Yeah, of course the brake lights work. We just drove that car for 13 years and 250,000 miles. Of course the brake lights work. It has an inspection sticker." Check it. That's all.
And I would love to say you're the only team that had that problem, but
Yeah, me too.
I
It's the only time
didn't
we've
even
ever-
notice because it's so commonplace.
It's the only time we've ever had that problem. 50 something races. First time.
Yeah.
First time
And
for everything. Thick or
Everyone,
stuff.
yeah, everyone who listens to this show knows, but at least 7 people walked up to me with a bag full of gear and like held it out in front of me. I'm like, A, I'm not gear tech. B, read your email. C, put it on because it said so in your email. Well, that's new. No, it's not. Jeff's got the music going. I'm just ranting.
Do we have any idea
You're
what
playing
we're
mental
doing
out.
next week?
No.
We'll figure it
Actually,
out then.
Yes. No, we actually do, because next week I will be on my way to the Texas rally. We will probably have unintentional special guest, Dr. Florida Man Donnie, who's flying in Monday, and then he and I are leaving Wednesday morning to start driving to Texas.
He's going to be in your house?
No, well, yeah, he's be in my house, and then we'll be in a hotel. I'm going to be with Donnie for like a week and a half. So we're driving to Florida.
Whoa.
Sounds great.
Your poor
Anyway.
wife. Thank you for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. We also hope you'll join us in driving, racing, and building, because everyone can be a racer, even you. You can't all get a golden ratchet, but you can all be a racer. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It's totally free. Then go to iTunes or wherever you rate your podcast and give us a 5-star rating. Even if you hated us, give us 5 stars and tell us why. If you have any questions or show ideas, or if you're a new listener, drop a comment on our Facebook page, Everyone Racers, or email us at everyone.racers@gmail.com. You can still text us at 484-243-0455. Find us on Instagram or Twitter at everyone.racers. We're now officially on Spotify. We've been there for a while. Thanks again, and until next week, keep the shiny side up, just like our Mazda 3, shiny and pearlescent.
And your gold ratchets.
And your gold ratchets. And if you don't have a shiny side, just keep them wheels down.